to know that you know it because we have an election coming up. Over the last couple of years, people in branches have come to me, even in our branch. We did not know there was an election. We were unaware when the election was posted or due. So when I send an email out, I'm sending out an email usually to my EC, my secretary, and my first VP to make sure that it gets out to everyone. We still are lacking in some people's names that need to get on our email list because we have an old, outdated email directory. So some of our branches are not getting emails like they should, but that is going to be rectified by Saturday. The other thing is that if there is a concern, a disagreement, or a question about what I'm saying or what I'm doing, please get with me, because I don't need to hear backroom conversations about why am I doing this, or why did I do this, or who did I choose and why did I choose. The reasons why I do what I do is because right now I'm the person that's in the control to do it. I try to make sure that I do it diplomatically. I go to my team. I make sure that I ask questions. So when I put somebody in place, I'm not just doing it on my own accord. I do come to you guys and I do say, hey, this is who I want to do, just do certain things. I ask you what you think. Now, granted, some of you may say, well, I don't like that idea. I don't particularly care for that. And I say, okay, sometimes I will say, okay, then let the majority rule, because some of it has to be done by vote anyway. But if it's a consideration that I can make on my own and I decide to go with that person, please understand, this is about respecting one another in the positions they're in. The other and last thing I'm going to say about this is we are all adults here. We are not going to always like each other. Well, guess what? Being liked is overrated. But being respected or respecting the chair that the person is in, please think about that. I think no less of any of my presidents in any of the branches than I do of myself. I think no less of the person that's doing the criminal justice chair any less than I think of their president. So the same respect I give, please give it back to me, or at least respect me enough to have the I'm not going to use the term I want to use, but have the skin enough to say, let me go to Bishop and ask him why he did something or why is he doing this, so that I can give you the answer you need to hear from me and not get third and fourth hand information. We have to get to one place, guys. The only way we're going to be able to become something that we're supposed to be, and that is one of the oldest civil rights entities in the United States, and be that powerhouse we are supposed to be, is we got to work together. And sometimes that means that, yes, you're not going to like all the decisions. There are going to be votes that y'all going to tell me that you don't like what I came up with. But the Democratic policy rules. If I want to do something and you vote it down, then guess what? I just have to live with it. But if I want something and people vote it and it becomes that's what it is, then guess what, guys? That's what it is. So real quick, so Dr. Moore can leave and anybody that's on youth and college. Right now, we're at 150 tickets. I know, Michelle, I still got to get you guys your tickets, but I got people still coming in asking for tickets. So here's what I'm going to say. There are still monies owed to the state conference from last year's gala. I'm working on getting that money now. Members of the EC on the state conference level are working on getting that money. Once we get somewhat a little bit more financially stable, if push comes to shove and you guys have anybody else that has not gotten tickets that are already signed up. So Michelle, with you guys, I don't know how many guys, hold on one second, sir. I don't know how many guys you got on your team or in the East Valley that signed up, but if you have X amount of tickets you need, I've only got so many for each branch, then tell me you may need more. Yes, sir.
So I just closed the registration sheet because right now we have 77 registrations. And I think a lot of those folks are not people that are already members to branches. So I just want you to know that I have closed it so that we're not taking any new ones.
Okay. So
and also President Holt, I have just kept in contact with Sarah, our representative. At this point, we don't have anyone who's requested a ticket. There are people that she asked me if our members that she's referring to, and I responded to that, but I apologize. I didn't know that you wanted us to respond back with a, no, we don't have anyone yet.
Okay, because what happened is that, and I'm glad for one, I'm on one hand, I'm very happy. On the other hand, I figured it was gonna get out of hand, is because the word free brings people out, but I wanted the youth to come out. Youth in college, I wanted them to be there. So if we got to buy a few more tickets, if they got any tickets left, we'll do what we can. Thank you, Michelle, because that helps me kind of move those tickets into another avenue where I may not have to purchase as many. I have a budget for the youth and the youth in college that we got a grant from National for, but I also know that I got to save some money because I'm trying to make sure that we get enough youth to convention who want to go. So there is not just trying to be willy-nilly on one adventure with the money. Thank you, Sarah, for that disclosed. Next thing, reports for Q2. Q1, we're trying to still get acclimated. I know that some branches have new leadership. I know that some branches are still trying to deal with some losses of members. I know that there are branches that are ready to go at any given moment because they've been doing this a long time. I appreciate that because I know Dr. Harden and her team are always got their paperwork in. Not saying nobody else doesn't. I'm just saying I know that for us, Q1 is going to be a little frazzled because we as the state conference are brand spank new, and there are a lot of things we're trying to do. So what I'm going to do is this time, Saturday, depending on how many people we have on, we will do a quick introduction, we'll do a run through, and we will give some expectations for Q2. So Q2 we know is April, May, June, is be in June or the 1st of July. Then I will expect every secretary to have their minutes in for their reports for their branch. Our reports will be done. Here's the problem with this. When you are new in a branch, you come in with these great expectations and you come in with this energy. Sometimes that energy ruffles the feathers of people that's been around, but you need that energy. Embrace that energy. Make sure that that energy is being fulfilled to the call at which they work, because this is all volunteerism. For us to be successful, we also want to make sure that if National ever audits us for any reason, if they come and say, the state conference, we need to see your Q1 reports. That means we've got 9 branches, 10 if we count the one that's really not active right now. Those 10 branches need to be in that book because when they audit, they're going to audit finance, they're going to audit minutes, and they're going to audit what the first Q1 reports were. It is imperative that we make sure we get those in. So when the secretary sends that out, please jump on top of that and make sure we've got all of it. If you have chairs in your branches, please get with the state conference branch chairs. If you don't, the state conference chair. If you don't know who that person is, reach out to our admin. Rachel will tell you who everybody is on our EC. That way you guys can meet up and link up, because what we want to try to do is the state conference is not trying to take over your branch. It is not trying to get in your way of doing things. Here's the thing. There are 3 pillars that the state conference has attacked this term: mental health, fair housing, and education. Those are the 3 pillars we're working on. So those are the 3 pillars that everybody is working on. But it does not say that there is not other things going on in your branches that your president may want to be focused on because it's important. You are still responsible for the work you do in your branches, but those are the pillars in which we work. To make some of this a little easier and a little bit more simpler this time around, sometime in June, right before we get to it gets to the holiday season, well, when I say vacation season, let's put it that way, in July and August, because kids are out and people are trying to get some vacation in before they go back to school. I'm arranging with National to do a training from the bylaws. I'm also, me and Sarah are working on getting National to update the bylaws, because there are bylaws that were passed in 2019 that are not in the current bylaws we have right now. So technically, some of the bylaws we're working out of are outdated because there were resolutions to change some of the bylaws. One being youth in college. there are bylaw changes there that changed in 2019 that are not in the book. So we need to be on one page with these bylaws. There are some, I'm hearing too many people quote bylaws that are not correct. Some people are working out of the yellow book because that's all they have. That book is okay, but it's got some things missing. The blue book that we all have right now, it has a lot of things missing, but National needs to get on their job as well. So as we work with National, we also need to work together as branches and unify. Let's get a training going for these bylaws so that we're all on the same page. Speaking of bylaws, there is a section in the bylaws that says attendance. If you miss 3 meetings consecutively, or if you miss 3 without a reason, or you haven't given us any idea why you're not here. If you've missed 6 and you're an EC member, you can be removed. And in this case, we will remove you because we have to be here for meetings because we all need to know what each other is doing. I need to know what the branches is doing. The branches need to know what we're doing because the state is constantly being phone called by National. All of a sudden, because this is an election year, they are calling us every day. It is also, we are still out of compliance with our youth in college. I know Amari and Sarah are working. I'm working diligently. I ask anybody else. I know Dr. Moore is doing a great job over at Phoenix College. I know Tucson is working to get everything done. Let us please make sure that if there is a possibility of a youth in college that is out of compliance or needs to be put back online, that we work together to get everybody up on compliance because we need 6 and 6 to have a vote in July. Right now, our adult branches are fine. Our youth in college, we've only got 3 that's in total compliance. We've got 11 youth in college chapters out there. Some of them are they're not active, but they can be activated with just getting their membership back up or paying fees that were owed because of assessments. The state conference will do the best they can to help assist with that situation. If you have another group of youth that want to come in, right now, I think Phoenix Union High School or another, it's not Phoenix Union, but there's another high school that I need to get with the East Maricopa with because they have a total of 36 children, 36 youth in their high school that want to come on board. So we need to make sure that we are doing everything we can to assist our youth in college because that's where we're not in compliance at the moment right now. There is one other major issue, and it's not a major issue, but I don't want it to become one. So if you notice the bylaws, in the front of the bylaws where it talks about compliance, or it talks about the Constitution. Anytime you see the word executive, they're talking about the national body, not us. There is no word executive in any of our titles. I know that sounds petty, but I don't want it to seem like I'm being petty. I'm telling you this because National right now is watching everything because they have a bunch of new people. We know that there is a new Region 1 representative. They have to come in blazing and make a name for themselves. So they're trying to pick at everything. I just don't want us to be derailed from the work we're trying to do, or distracted from the work we're trying to do. There is way too much work to do. I see that National has sent out trainings for the health chair, for the education chair, and now I'm hearing that there's something coming down for the housing chair. So branches, you guys will be getting emails constantly about these trainings. You need to make sure that your chairs are able to get on these trainings or at least be present for the information that's being given back. National has finally started giving out the recordings and the paperwork after a meeting. So if you've got that, make sure you get it and print it and keep it in your books. If you have a branch that is short 2 chairs that I need you to really pay attention to, if you do not have an economic development chair and you do not have a political action chair, can you please work on getting those? Political action chairs, reason why this is a very necessary election year. We need to make sure that we are working as hard as we can to do what we need to do as far as voter engagement, voter education, whatever that case is that we need to do. Right now, we have a lot of seniors that are getting ready to turn 18 before November who can vote. Those that we should be having voter education drives, voter registration drives. We can work together. Branches, if you guys want to come together and do one big event, fine. Phoenix College has already started to do those things with Danny White and Dr. Moore. Let's keep doing that. We can get anywhere we need to be right now because everybody knows the importance of the voting for this year. So we need to make sure we're on top of that. I think I'm just about done running my mouth. I have one more concern. Let's see. Let's see. I got my own notes on the screen, guys. Don't pay me no attention. Give me a minute. I already talked about secretaries get with your chairs and make sure that all the chairs know who the state chairs are and make sure you get with them so that we can make sure that the programs kind of mirror each other and the state conference can support your chairs with the work you're doing in the branch. A lot of the work we're doing is going to cross over each other. What I mean by that, when is going to find themselves in the health and wellness. Health and wellness is going to find themselves in economic development. Economic development is going to find themselves in criminal justice. Criminal justice is going to find themselves in housing. Right now, we have a lot of stuff going on. We have interns that we're getting from ASU to work as legal interns for our housing committee for the state conference, which all the branches will be available to. We are now getting ready to start looking at voting on whether or not we want to go with this PR firm. We will have more information on that on the next meeting. But if we go with this PR firm, that is accessible to all the branches as well. So if you have a press release, if you have a story you want to tell, if you want to showcase something going on in your community, these are the things that this is for. The state conference is going to pay for it. It is open to all the branches. So we're trying to expand our reach to make sure that you guys are getting the support from the state conference you need. That means if you have questions, concerns, if you want to do something and it's going to cost some money, you don't have it, and we have it and we can give it, we'll do our best to make sure that we can support as much as we can. We are talking about raising money. Right now, the state conference is doing a $1 per 1 million people. So what the idea is to try to get 1 million people to donate $1 a piece. That's $1 million. That goes into the state conference. The state will then assimilate that money between the branches that you guys will have working capital. So your state conference is working diligently to try to make a difference in what we're doing, and it's different from the years past. The years past, I'm not putting down anybody. I'm not throwing shade on anyone, but it's a new day, a new way of doing business. Our youth are our most important focus. Everything is going to be youth-led, meaning that we are trying to build our youth and college back up. We're trying to make sure that they have the right leadership, they have the right understanding of what their abilities are, to train them, to teach them. And I would like for every branch to be able to throw at least a few dollars in their bank account so they have some working capital. But that is something we're working on as well. At the end of the day, and then I'm through, and then y'all can open up the floor. At the end of the day, I am not better than anyone. I am not trying to be better. I'm not trying to be bigger. I'm not trying to be more important. I am just like you. I'm working to prove that we are here for our communities. I'm working to try to make sure that we speak for the underdog or for the person that can't speak. I'm here to put back Arizona where we should be because of the talent we have in this room right now. On this Zoom right now, this is not even half of who we are as a branch, as a unit. But the talent that's in this room right now can do great things. It has done great things. I expect nothing less as long as we're in this. But all I ask is respect, communication, and compliance. If we can just make sure that we're respecting one another, we're communicating with each other, and that we stay in compliance with what National says we have to do, we'll get the work done. With that being said, I thank you for the work that you're doing, each and every one of you. I thank you for your time. I thank you for the the longevity. As some of you on this call right now have been members in this branch, in your branches for a long time, and you've done a lot of great work. But we're not done yet, and we have just yet to scratch the surface. So I'm going to digress, open the floor up to conversation. Then we will go to the next issue.
Yes, President Holt, I would still request to have a link to the top level folder that will have the agendas and meeting minutes. I was told it would be put in the chat, and for some reason I don't see it. Thank you.
All right. So after the meeting, Rachel, can you make sure that Michelle has what she needs?
Absolutely.
Thank you. Drop the document for me real quick. My screen does crazy things, so when they're up, I can't get to the other screen I need to.
What document do you want to drop?
I mean, you know, the agenda. Can you drop the agenda out the way?
Yes, sir. One moment.
Thank you. Thank you. Dr. Let me see. Lorna Ingram, thank you, thank you. So yes, the conversation about the youth. We are, let me get to it so I can make sure I answer it correctly. So AXO, I'm glad you mentioned AXO. AXO, and I will be talking with Sharon more about AXO. I have some high school kids that are really interested in AXO because I let them know that AXO is just not math and science. It's poetry, it's art, it's dance, it's music. Whatever that talent is, we just need to find some competition in the state to move it to Vegas. So I will be on the phone with Derek Lewis in the morning because I did mention AXO to him to see if there were any youth that were already engaged coming to Vegas, or is there another branch in another unit that wants to compete? And if we do, then absolutely, I would think Tucson Youth would be excellent for that conversation. Plus, we want to make sure that AXO is being a target idea for our youth. AXO is not, AXO we know is the original STEM, but it's more than just what STEM is in the high school. So we want to get our kids involved in that. I think that's also a great trampoline or a great stepping stone for our youth in the high schools. It's a little harder in the high school because AXO reads as it's discriminatory because it still uses the word Black children because it was developed for our children. When Dr. Vernon Johnson gave it to us in '73, it was for our children. But since then, the NAACP has evolved. So we need to make sure that we open it up and evolve. The EC on the state level will be interviewing for a religious chair in our next meeting next week. That individual will be tasked with building relationships with pastors, youth pastors in the churches to bring their youth on board or to bring youth into our fold from them to make sure that we have youth that can also be responsible for going to their friends and their peers and say, hey, we got great things going on over here. Come see what we got. West Valley has done a great job with building their youth chapter. And a lot of those youth they don't go to the same school, but they become friends and they know each other. So they kind of talk and they like lean on each other. So with that being said, let's try to see what we can do to build our youth back up.
Thank you, President Holt.
Is that ASCO? What is AXCO?
AXO. AXO is a acronym, and Pinky, can you put that in the chat for me? So it's ACT-SO.
Thank you.
I'm trying to read if there's any other things. I don't want to miss anybody in the chat. So yes, the bylaws have not been updated since 2019, and that's on national, but they blame COVID. Well, COVID is 3 years out now. There's no reason why they should not be updating their book. Next month, I'll let you give you guys a preview of something we're going to talk about next month. We're going to talk about expansion of branches. so I can give you a taste of what that means. It does not mean that the current branch loses any power or any territory. It means that because our state is growing and they are incorporating unincorporated areas, and they're also stretching cities that had a certain boundary level, they're building out and they're building farther out. That means that there's a lot more boundary lines, that there's a lot more bandwidth, that sometimes one branch just can't handle everything. That is how the West Valley came to be about anyway, is because Maricopa had so much of Central Phoenix to deal with, they didn't have the bandwidth to go all the way out to Surprise, or they just didn't have the reach. So it made sense to start another branch. Well, if you start looking at everything on the other side of the 303, on the back end of Buckeye, the back end of Surprise, Waddell, Gila Bend, Tonopah, that is a long way out. That is members that are not coming to Avondale. They're not coming to Tolleson. They're not coming to Goodyear for a meeting. When you look at Signal Butte, you look at 60 and Higley, you look at Queen Creek, you look at Maricopa. These are places that people are not engaged because they are way out, and we're trying to get out of the Zoom conversation. So eventually this meeting may stay Zoom because we have branches from Tucson, Sierra Vista, and Flagstaff should be here, but they're not. But nevertheless, we have branches that are farther out. So I understand why this meeting can be a Zoom. But our quarterly conference meeting in June will be in person. We will have a Zoom just because there are some people I know that can't make it from other places. Our ECs, I would like for you guys to start doing your EC meetings in person as much as you can. It works better when we are sitting in front of each other and getting each other's energy and really understanding where we're coming from when we're trying to get stuff done. Questions that are asked look a lot different in person than they do on Zoom, because I can't see your face all the time. Like right now, got a lot of people that's blacked out, and that's fine. But in person, you can't hide behind your screen. You have to be there. And being there in the moment sometimes is best, because that's the way we can really get an understanding of what we're trying to do. Any other questions? Any thoughts? Any reasons for why we're here? Yes, Armani.
I just want to stress, and I will stress on every meeting, the Arizona for Abortion Access Act, getting the NAACP involved, because it does affect both sides. It's something that is super important for not only our community, but all communities, especially young people. And I think if we want to get young people involved, this is a great way to get young people involved, because a lot of young people really care about abortion access in the state of Arizona and getting it protected in our state constitution. So I will continue to stress it until NAACP, we come together to get involved in the initiative.
So there's a conversation that I want to address. It's not that the NAACP is not going to get involved in the initiative. It has to have something for us to get involved in. So if there's a drive, if there's a meeting, if there's a public publicity that needs to be stressed, you have to let us know what that is. So I told you before, we support that. I just need to know how are we to support it.
NAACP would support by becoming a hub for volunteers to pick up petitions, drop off petitions, and then also pushing NAACP volunteers to collect signatures for the initiative, because we need about 750,000 signatures to get on the ballot.
Okay, so that's a conversation you would have with the Pillar of Action chairs. And as far as a hub, we would need to find someone that would allow us to have that space to do that in. Sarah?
So a couple things. I think it is hard because the NAACP doesn't have a brick and mortar at this point in time, or the state conference doesn't have one, so it would lean on the branches. And I will say that the West Valley branch, up until this month, did have someone from Healthcare Rising at every single one of their meetings collecting signatures for AAA. The only reason that it's changed now is because we lost our previous location and have moved to a church. And the church has asked us not to collect those signatures there. So at least the West Valley has done that. I'm not sure if the other branches have, but Ms. Armani, please know that some of our branches are doing that work.
That brings me to another thing. I know a lot of us wear hats everywhere. I know that some of us have 3 and 4 and 5 hats, and we're trying to make sure that we're doing our work as well as our bread and butter. We're trying to pay our bills, but we're also trying to be engaged in our life. Don't take on more than you can handle. Self-care is everything. I don't want you stressing out on something that you just do not have the bandwidth to do. So if you're, for instance, if you're on an initiative and that initiative means everything to you, and that's where you put your heart and soul in, then you can't work in the area I need you in, because I need your heart and soul there as well. Unless you can split yourself in half and mentally perform in both of those seats, make sure that you're taking on no more than you can handle. Because if you drop the ball somewhere else, and a lot of our stuff is dealt with numbers and time limits. So when we talk about the things we need to have, like youth in college, we got till April the 15th to be completely in compliance. That's probably not going to happen. So I got to beg for some more time. But I do not want to show up to Vegas and we cannot vote, or we have no voting power on the floor because the state conference is not in compliance. That happened last year. I would not let that happen on my watch because there's no reason for it. But it means that people have to dual task. So if we need to find another space to collect signatures, let's see what we can do with that. If we have to see if we can do it and rent a space for a week or so, I don't know what that looks like, but it's an option, because we all have enough partners that we can say, hey, we need a space to do this. This is why we're trying to do it. This is why it's important. A lot of folks we know have the ability to help us. We just have to be real in what we're talking about and then do what we say we're going to do. So I met with a few people the other day about money. They're willing to shell out money for July for the kids. They just need to see what we're doing. So that's why the HBCU game is so important. It is not that I'm trying to show out and say, okay, we bought a bunch of tickets, we gave out t-shirts, and we got a bunch of kids in the stand. That's not my goal. My goal is to connect our kids with the HBCUs, and 2, to make sure that they understand that we're trying to make sure that their voices are heard and their presence is respected. We want them to be there. I want them to be on the front line. I want them to, so that they can start learning to do what we're going to do when we sit down. So wherever we can be of assistance, let us know what that is. So I understand that sometimes we get in trouble with not speaking to one another in a way that we all can deal with, but feelings aside, you may have a bad day and snap at me. I'm not going to bite your head off because you had a bad day, but I will bite your head off if you come at me crazy and you didn't say nothing I needed that made any sense, because I expect you to do the same to me. This is volunteerism, I understand, but this is a business we signed up for. And I think everybody on this call is serious about this business. The reason, and I'm not saying this to be disrespectful to anyone that is not of color, but the reason white folks don't fear us in this state is because they feel that we don't get along enough to make nothing happen. So they blow us off. I do not want that to be the case with us. I want, when the NAACP shows up to something and they go in the room, I want them to first wonder, why are we there? And what the hell are we getting ready to do? Because right now, all it is a photo op. NAACP, come take a picture with me. We're friends. No, we're not. I'm not your friend. I can be friendly. I'm here for business. I'm here to make sure that our communities are being represented correctly, our kids are safe, and our neighborhoods are what they need to be for us as people of color. I want to make sure that my LGBTQ community is safe. I want to make sure that my kids can get back and forth to school. I want to make sure that our seniors can eat. And I want to make sure that our vote is not taken from us. Outside of that, I don't want nobody's picture. Kids, I don't like pictures. May make me look fat. I thought I'd get a chuckle out of somebody. I ain't see nobody laugh. That's okay though. Y'all stay stone faced. That's cool. Anything else? Anybody?
I just want to add that the infrastructure, for the most part, is already there for the initiative. It would just be NAACP helping, because there's already a bunch of small-owned businesses, local businesses, and different organizations that have hubs. Those hubs are just always looking for help and assistance from different organizations and different volunteers.
Okay, so then we'll do our best to get some vol, and that's the other thing. Let's find a way to bring our members into the fold. Technically, the way we're running the NAACP right now is not the way the NAACP runs. The EC does not run the NAACP, the members do. The EC takes what the members want back, the members vote on it. The EC goes back and figures out how to make it happen with their committees. Then they do the work and then they report back to the membership. The way we're doing it is we're doing the work and telling the membership what we're doing, and then they go away. That's not how the NAACP works. Our members are not engaged enough. Our branches are growing membership. West Valley's growing. East Valley's growing. We're growing memberships. We're getting new people every day to come into and say, well, what are you guys doing? We want to be a part of it. And we give them nothing to do. So with our seniors, our people at home, our homemakers who want to spend a few hours making phone calls, whatever the case may be, with Diane Post. Diane Post is sending out everything she can find on every bill that's coming out on the floor and giving us the background of it. I need some folks that's going to actually read those bills and be that much more supportive to the rest of the membership. A lot of the membership does not show up to the monthly meetings because they don't think we're doing nothing. Let's just be what we need to be and let them see what we're doing. We don't have to tell folks what we're doing. They'll see what we're doing. And then they'll become involved, because there's no reason in the world why right now, I think our membership total in Arizona is about 680 people. That's probably a few skewed because the Salesforce is still not all the way updated. But you're talking about 76,000 African Americans in Avondale by itself, and all we got is 600 members. That's not good. We got 10 branches. So that says, can we do membership drives? And then when we ask to do a membership drive, the first thing that comes out of people's mouth is the NAACP relevant? What can you do? And what are you going to do for me? Well, first of all, it's what we don't do is that we need to get clear. We are not a legal organization. We can assist with legal conversation because we have a legal redress. We have a legal redress in most of the branches. We have a great a team like with Princess Wilson. We have a great team of criminal justice folk. We have a great team of legal redress down in Tucson State Conference. But we are not lawyers. Therefore, we don't represent people from a legal standpoint. We can refer them to legal counsel. So we don't leave them hanging. But a lot of folks every day are calling us about legal issues. And when we tell them we can't help them, we give them no other out. Then they say the NAACP ain't about you know what, and they ain't did shit and they ain't gonna do shit. And that's not who we are. We know who we are. We're an advocacy organization. We fight discrimination. We fight civil unrest. We fight civil justice. We are fighters. We are not lawyers. However, we have a lot of lawyers in our midst. All our branches have lawyers. All we have to do is, if that lawyer wants to take on that person's business, then they get into a contract with them and they let them know it is not from the NAACP, it is from the lawyer. If we have lawyers that are in our ranks that we can refer to, we have a lot of lawyers that we deal with in our own personal or our other hats that we wear. They have come in and said they will be our referral source. We just need to make sure that when we tell people who we are and what we do, they understand what we do. So when we tell them we can't do anything about that now, they won't just blow it off and say, well, you just ain't about nothing, you ain't gonna help us. When a mother is fighting for her child to be able to go to school and just be able to get back in school, that's a Shannon job. That's Shannon, and Shannon has other chairs that she works with. And if National has any help with that, because now they're giving out this tool package, that's what we need to do. So it's about being precise with what we can do, and we don't want to overpromise and underdeliver. If you refer to a lawyer, it must be 3 lawyers. Yes, correct. It must be 3. And we have about 6 or 7 that have given us permission to use their names. Next month, we will make sure that that's confirmed, and we will share that with all the branches. That way you can put that in your website, you put it in your newsletters. We are not a legal organization. However, if you have a legal matter, we can refer you to we can refer you out to these lawyers who may be able to assist you. That gets us off the hook with any legal issues. It's 7:30. I told you I wasn't gonna try to keep you all night. Is there any other questions? concerns? Thank you for that list. I will appreciate to get it, and I will make sure that it is disseminated amongst the branches. Fundraising. Freedom Funds. East Valley, Maricopa has theirs coming up in April. Support, support, support. I can't say that enough. Yes, we have our own branches. We all have our own Freedom Funds. We all have our own fundraisers. But when you are able to, make sure you're supporting other branches, because you want those branches to also support you. When you have an event, support another branch. If Maricopa is doing a health event, support it, because when West Valley is going to do one, they want support. When East Valley does something, support it. If you can get on the same page with each other, there's many events that West Valley and East Valley has done together through the years. Pull together and make it a big to-do. We get more for our buck if we work together. We are not 16 different branches. We are one NAACP. I don't know how long it's going to be before we all get to that same feeling. I hope that it's soon, because I know that we can do great things together, but we ain't going to do nothing falling apart. We cannot work in silos. We are not separate NAACPs. We are one NAACP. Elections are coming up in October. Secretaries will get all that information so that the branches will know this year when the elections take place. We know that everything is done through Election Buddy, so we got to make sure we stay on top of national. We get all our people who are going to run, get ready. Next year is the state conference election, same thing. People are going to run, people are going to run against folks. It ain't personal, it's business. So if we get to the place where we can work as one, we will have a successful state conference. We have done great work from Tucson, from Sierra Vista all the way to Flagstaff. We have done great work, but we have members that are getting older. We have presidents up north that are sick, that are no longer able to carry their branch. So that means there's going to have to be some changes made up north to keep those branches in compliance. But the branches down here are fine. They just need to be more unified. Let's see what we need to do to build up our chairs, get our committees together, support one another, support our youth, make sure that we're doing what we're supposed to do, and make sure that your state conference is working for you. So if you have concerns, questions, please reach out. Dr. Jaycox is the health chair for the state conference. I would appreciate if all the branches would reach out to her, who are the health chairs in the branches, would reach out to her so she can begin to set a tone for how we're going to work in unity with doing certain events. She has access to a lot of things that would help the branches put on events that would also be able to be fundraisers. So we also need to make some money this year, guys. There's a lot of organizations that's not going to support everybody. If Maricopa is getting money from APS, they're not going to give West Valley that same money. It just doesn't work like that. But some people have these relationships based on the branches that have been doing business with those for years and years. There are some companies that are no longer supporting because they have to support other people after so many years. After so many years, you cannot keep going to the same pool. You have to figure out something else. So what do we need to do to make money? We have to be self-dependent. We need to be self-sufficient. Then how do we do that? National does have money that is supposed to be coming to the branches. I don't know when they're going to release that, but it's not that much money. Yes, Shannon, I will send you those emails. I thought I was getting them to you, but I will make sure you get them, because there's a running list for National doing the education training every month up until September. So I'll make sure you get that whole calendar. 7:37. Any other questions, concerns, or thoughts?
This is Lorna Ingram. I've tried to pay my national assessment for the youth, and I'm still getting that error message. And it stated, once again, it was fixed, but it's not. Is there another way I could just send a check and be done with them?
So what I'll do is I'm gonna send you, we'll send you Derek Lewis's phone number. Call Derek in the morning and tell him what the problem is. He may have a link that you can send it directly to National.
Okay, thank you so
Because
much.
Derek Lewis is the National Youth and College person.
Yes,
Okay, I'll make sure you have his number.
thank you again.
Thank you. Anyone else?
I put my comment in the chat.
Okay, let's look and see. What this is. Now my computer wants to freeze up.
I just basically said that as state chairs, that we traditionally have a monthly meeting with the chairs of all the branches. And then they bring it back to our EC. It's time, it alleviates a lot of time. It gives us a closer way to keep up with who's current, who's out. And then we can always relay that in our messages. Like when I was wind chairing, I would always, when I got new information, I immediately gave it to the branch secretary and to the state secretary so they knew that what changes were. And I think that's one of the reasons why we are out of sync. We're not connecting, because no disrespect to anybody, because we all live in the real world. We got 10 branches and you keep getting 10 different things. It's easier just to have that meeting and have everybody send everything to you so you can submit it when you do your monthly EC as the state level.
And
Just,
that's actually the way it should work. So
Yeah.
that's why it's imperative that the secretaries from every branch has every information concerning who is who. So when you talk about introductions, we didn't do them tonight because we're running behind, but when we talk about introductions, even if we send out an email. So the other thing I'm working on right now is with our secretary, with Rachel, is making sure we have everybody's correct email, because we have a lot of emails that are broken and they're not going through. We have emails that no longer exist, and we have people that are in those ECs who are no longer on those ECs. So we have a lot of filtering to go through. But it technically, if the state conference, if it's doing what it's supposed to do, like you said, the chair of the state conference works with every chair of the branch that falls up under their chair. They all get together and meet. So there's a lot of meetings. So it's a lot of sub meetings. So health and wellness state conference chair meets with all the health and wellness branches. Then that health and wellness chair comes to our EC meeting on the state conference and then bring that information to the EC for the state conference. So it's a lot of sharing of information, but it's in one place where you can always put your finger on it. So therefore, like you said, we're not saying, okay, well, if Tucson's criminal justice chair is doing this and West Valley's criminal justice chair is doing this, well, we don't know what each other is doing because the criminal justice chair for the state has no idea what either one of them are doing.
and also, can I say this? And I tell you guys this because I've been doing this for 25 years. If you have a branch that says they have nothing to report, have them put that in writing, because if they come to audit, even though we know that they may have nothing to report, they're gonna say, well, where's this at? It's easy for us to say that, but if it's in writing and it's in there for prosperity purposes, it clears us. So even if they have nothing, please stress that to your chairs. Thank you.
So do we have and this is Dr. Jaycock speaking, do we have a OneDrive or repository that all the committees or whatever can put our information? I don't know, maybe that's the Google Doc. So for instance, for health, as I meet with the chairs from the other locations, I could have a repository someplace I can put meeting minutes or whatever.
Oh,
Or
you have to send it to the, sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off. You
Or-
send it to the secretary, she does it.
or they
Yeah,
can
she does, yes.
or they can drop or making it available so that they can drop it in there. And
Because
then,
they're gonna send you their minutes. They're gonna send you they're gonna send you their committee report that
Like-
has to be approved, right? The chair, as the state chair. I'm sorry, I see you rolling your eyes, so go ahead.
So hold on, guys, hold on. Let me answer that just to keep the consternation out. Yes, we can create folders for every chair for the state conference that can go to the state conference chairs folder. That way they can pull their minutes out and look at them. What I don't want to do is duplicate a lot of paperwork, because I don't want Dr. Jaycox or Shannon or whoever else is a chair on the state conference to try to read through 40,000 different minutes.
Mhm.
The minutes I'm concerned about is the once a month meeting that you meet together in. That is the only minutes I care that the state conference chair has to have. Everything else goes into the branch meeting.
Yeah, yeah. So is there a place, a repository for that information to go? That's my question. And does that go to the secretary, or how is that recorded, or where is a good place to place that?
Dr. J. Cox, Miss Rachel and I will create subfolders for each of the chairs, and y'all will have access to put your stuff in there.
Perfect, perfect. That's what I need. Thank you.
Yes, ma'am.
One band, one sound, guys. It's going to take a minute for all us to get on the same page, because we got a lot of work to do. We are new. As far as when I say we are new, the state conference is new. This is a whole new group. There's only 1 or 2 people from the old state conference leadership, but we are here to do the work. The people that are in the branches that have been doing this for years, I expect nothing less than to keep on doing the work that you're doing. We will support you. I pray that you support us. Like I said, I'm not asking for likeness, because like is overrated, but please respect one another and respect the chairs that they sit in. We don't always get along, but we need to make sure that we're on the same page when we get ready to do the work. You can sit there and argue about the napkins, the chairs, or the color of the pens. I don't care. That's on y'all. But when it comes time to step in front of the people and do the work, I expect us to be on one page. I never want them to see us out of sync or we are ununified, because that does do nothing but make our work that much harder when we get out there in front of the public. When they know we're unified and they know they can't divide us, we become victorious. That's when we win. 7:45, I'm done talking. Like I said, Saturday is Q1. I know a lot of people have other events Saturday. I've been looking at some of the emails coming through. Make it the best you can, because we need to have it just for, if nothing else, for record purposes. Those of you that can make it, we won't be long. And because it's also Easter weekend, so I understand that as well. But if we don't get Q1 done correctly or as full as we need to, I'm not going to sweat it. But when we get to Q2, there will be no excuses. Reports need to be in. Conversations need to be ready to be had. We need to give a good report of what we're doing. If you have newsletters, please give a copy of your newsletter to the branch, to the state conference secretary. We are keeping a folder of everything we do. That way, once again, if National ever comes to us, because we have a new Region 1 representative, there is a possibility that she's going to come in on fire, talking about, let me see everything. I want to make sure that we can open the books and show them everything. Outside of that, I'm done talking.
So you said reports need to be due for that. Is that reports from your ECs, from chairs? What is the report? And is there a template or someplace we need to put that? Is that an expectation from all of us? You're talking, I can't even hear you.
Can you hear me?
Now
Can
I
you hear
can.
me?
Yeah, now I can.
Reports come from every chair. So everything that you have done in that quarter is in your report. Every event you've had, everybody you've met with, everything you've talked about as far as getting things done or in collaborations with, anything you think is important for, because the quarterly conference meetings are also for members. So everybody's welcome to those meetings.
Mhm.
So the members may come to those quarterly meetings and want to know, well, what is everybody doing? What have we done? That's why it's so important to have a newsletter, because it also keeps the members aware of what we're doing. So yes, quarterly reports is a report for the quarter from every chair.
Is there a place that we're supposed to get that, put that, submit it? Is there a timeline?
You submit that directly to the state conference secretary.
Okay, to Rachel. And was there a deadline for that? Oof. Was there a deadline for that, or is there a deadline?
It's already passed. That's what I'm saying. We're trying to make sure that the first ones, we're doing the best we can. The second one come June, there will be no excuses because we will have enough time to make sure we've got all that done.
So my concern is that I guess I missed that somehow. And I don't want to miss things like that. I think you know me, Bishop. So
Yeah. So do you have your NAACP email up?
Yes, I do.
So everything, if you're not getting emails, make sure you let the state conference secretary know that you're not getting. Or if you think there's something important that you think you've missed, reach out to me real quick and I'll make sure that you get it.
Okay, thank you.
Sarah?
I just wanted to address Dr. Jaycock's question. There is a calendar invite that goes out a week before quarterly reports are due, and I'm looking at it right now, and you are not on it, Ms. Jaycock, so that's why you didn't see it. But I will add you to that so that you know going forward that you'll get a notification a week before it's due, and then you can just submit it.
Perfect. Thank you.
Anyone else? Any questions?
Sarah, can I also ask too that I attended the National Health meeting today. So, and the only reason I knew about that was because you forwarded that to me. Is that another list that I should get on with at the national level as well?
Yeah, yes, ma'am, you should. And the only reason that I got it was because they're sending stuff to an old email that I don't even have access to. It was forwarded to me by someone else as well. So I think that's one of the reasons that we keep telling folks you need to make sure that we're keeping up to date on our emails, because I'm not even getting the emails as the vice president that I should be getting. Either Bishop gets it or one of the secretaries from another branch will get it and then forward it to me. So I would just follow up anytime you attend a meeting, follow up with whoever is directing that and making sure that they have your correct email address so that you're on those lists.
Okay.
I just put my report in the chat for anybody who missed it.
Thank you.
Thank you, Diane. I got yours last week. Thank you, but still, that's great. The emails are going to get, so let me give you guys some ease of thought. The emails this year are going to be excessive. And the reason I say that is because I had a meeting with National a couple of weeks ago, and they are going to be sending tons of just whatever. And the reason being is they have a bunch of new people in National who are trying to make sure that they're getting their job done to what they get paid for. So there are emails coming from education, housing, criminal justice. They're coming from health and wellness. Once we get those emails, I always make sure that whoever the chair is at National has your direct email. So that's why I also said, are you using the emails we're paying for? Because that's another way you're going to get your emails. With the branches, what I try to do is I make sure your secretaries have those emails so they can forward them to you guys as well. What we want to try to do by June or July is make sure National has each one of our emails so that whatever's going out, you guys get it firsthand, so you don't have to wait for somebody to forward it or it you get lost in somewhere. Because a lot of times they do send out a ton of emails in one day, and I can't get to all of them, and I'll start forwarding tons of emails to Rachel and Sarah, and it overwhelms them. I don't want to keep doing that. I want to try to make sure that National automatically has our emails so that they can get them to everybody. And another thing is we will get you a list of who is who at National. So you will get your Region 1 director. You will be able to get your chair of whoever the chair is at National, so you can reach out and contact them directly as well. Dominic Whitehead is over political action. Derek Lewis is over youth and college. There's a couple of more I can't think of them right now, but you guys need to have that information because that is the people that you can reach out to when you need a question answered, especially if it comes from National.
Bishop, on that note, what I will say is when I reach out to Derek, his response time is not as quick as it is when you reach out to him.
Thank you. So if you have a problem with getting an answer from anybody at National that you email and they haven't gotten to you within a time limit that you think because it's time pressing, let me know so I can call them directly because I have all them jokers' numbers. Because they worry the hell out of me, I'm gonna worry the hell out of them. And that's the other thing. And then I am done because it's 7:53. there's a lot of misconception going on about a lot of folks. And here's the thing about me. I don't care what I hear about you. It's what I know about you that matters to me. So all of these sidebar conversations about, well, you know, so and so and so and so, please let that go in one ear and out the other if you don't know that person for yourself. Because there's a bunch of folks that's in our ranks that have had some issues with other folks, that may have some issues with other folks, but that ain't got nothing to do with the work we're doing. All I say is, can we respect each other in the space we're working in to get the job done? Because at the end of the day, all of us gonna have to answer for what we've done. And then we ain't the judges. So the only judge that matters is the one that we got to see after we close our eyes. The ones on this earth, I don't give a damn about them. Let's stay focused. Let's stay vigilant. Let's stay busy. Let's support one another. Let's respect one another, and let's get the job done. If somebody comes to you about somebody, tell them to go talk to that person they're talking about. 9 times out of 10, they're not going to do that. That saves you from having to hear a bunch of nonsense about somebody you may not even really know. Anybody else? All right, guys, it is 7:54. Can I get a motion to adjourn if we are done?
Dr.
I'm
Jacob,
making,
that motion to adjourn. My apologies.
So,
I
Dr.
second
Moore,
it.
you second? Okay. One and done. We are through, guys. I will see you, those who can make it Saturday, I will see you Saturday. If not, we will meet the 4th Thursday of every month is our all-state call. Please make sure you know that. If your president or secretary cannot make it, secretaries I'm more concerned about because they need to record this or get the recording. Presidents and vice presidents, I want them here also. But like I said, this is an all-state call for all the chairs because there is so much going on this year. We got a convention coming up. We've got an election coming up. We've got some education things coming up because we got a bunch of seats opening up in school districts. So we need to start making sure our folks is applying for those jobs or running for those seats. Let's be one band, one sound. Good night, everybody. Thank you.
Good night.
Good night.
Easter, everybody.
Good night.
Easter.
And kudos to the secretary. This is a lot to handle all at once. You're new to the position. Don't worry. I think you're doing great, whatever that's worth.
Oh, thank you so much.